I can hear you.
I've
And
seen what's happened when you're.
we're all
loose.
coming out of the same. We're all coming out of the same thingamabob. So
Let's make it annoying. Is that annoying?
We should start a band.
all right,
The show starts. How come
All right,
it's going
starts-
up? Oh,
because
shit.
it starts now. Hit the opening.
Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Elmont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Go ahead. Good evening, everybody. This is a bit of a mellow show this evening. First off, we don't have a guest this week.
Nobody likes us.
Well, it's actually kind of by design, and part of it was we were away last week. We've had various disasters happening in life, so we've been dealing with all of that crap. And that means it was time to do a big sort of newscast because, well, we took a week off when every piece of poop hit every fan possible.
The excrement hit the ventilating device with great rapidity and high speed.
Yeah. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce everybody. To my right, your left, is the one and only Maelstrom.
Pleased to be here.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you.
How was your week in War Machine?
It was pretty dead.
You
I
didn't
didn't get a game in. Well, we had a little bit of a snowstorm here, and I didn't get to travel to the
Do your
local
journeyman.
game store to get my journeyman weekend. So I'm super sad about that, actually.
Well, you did get in games of the journey. So we're doing a journeyman league right now.
Yeah.
And all three of us are involved. I am the journeyman league organizer, which means that I've added all kinds of weird and really probably terribly designed rules.
They're the best kind.
They're the best kind. They make things make no sense. So you got in 3 games.
2 games.
You only got 2
I
games.
only got 2 games.
in. Ooh,
2 wins, though.
2 wins. So there you go.
Got 4 points.
And over on my left, your right, is PG.
Harsh, man.
Semi-auto magic.
Harsh.
That's weird to say.
Semi-auto magic.
Can you say that again?
Semi. We're just gonna call him semi.
Just semi.
Can't even get hard about this.
Semi, because I can no longer call you PG. George, tell me. We're going to talk a lot about some of the news that's happened this week, but tell me a bit about the games that you got in this last couple of weeks.
Well, if we go back far enough, I went to the OTC.
Oh yeah, we're going to get you to talk about that in depth in a bit.
So,
but tell me a bit about you're playing the Journeyman League with us,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
right now you were the destroyer for this week. So
Yeah, I got in 4 games on Monday night. I was able to play into Rhett, Signar, Mercs. Rhett, Signar, Mercs. Crix, of course.
and you won 3 of your games.
3 of the games.
So yeah.
I did pretty well.
So the way that we work this Journeyman League is we've gone a little bit old school. For anybody that wants to try out a Moose Machine style Journeyman League, we harken back to the old rules where painting matters. Yeah, so you get a point per week if you have fully painted lists. So we don't just give away points for painting. We do give them for lists. You get 2 points for a win, 1 point for a game, and we put targets on people's backs. Whoever was the top earners from the week before.
So I guess I've got a target now.
You now have the target on your back. It depends on if you go to. Doesn't matter which store you go to because you are the true destroyer this week. If you go to any store, you will be the destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have the target on your back. If you don't go to out of the box this week, then Nacho has the target on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that all aside, my week was pretty splendiferous. I am a complete and total jerk, and I'm playing the Osram version of the.
That list is vicious.
It's vicious, although it is vicious, but I am not a good enough player to make it matter. So the good news is that Scorn Battle Box still kicks its ass.
It's
And
the Archidon.
yeah, that Archidon
Like,
is
why the hell 10
broken
points?
as hell. Well, also on a 2x2.
There's an Archidon in that battle.
Yeah. Well, and
No,
also,
no. No, the
Oh,
battle
you
box.
added it for 10
Yeah,
points.
This week we have 10 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's 10 points and horribly broken? The Archidon!
Well, and the worst part is on a 2x2 board, the Archidon is in your back.
Oh,
arc.
it's yeah.
yeah,
like
its
immediately.
control area is the entire board.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a little
And
a
it's
little
got
silly.
sprint.
But that Stranglehold took care of the Archidon pretty well.
Yeah, right up until the part where he flew over everything and ate your castle.
Yeah, I didn't plan for that. Although there was not, you can't plan for everything, and you just throwing everything I own didn't help either.
I don't know why I'm going to say you're a relatively experienced player, but even relatively experienced players don't think about throws and stuff.
Well-
What we have to do is after this, we have to start playing grind
Yeah, absolutely. I think
so that we get our power attacks.
Well, and
in.
we've done shows on how to use your power attacks properly. I put a bonus point for anybody that uses all 3 power attacks during a
I
game.
didn't do the headbutt.
Headbutts are amazing.
Yeah, I just didn't do one.
Reread the rules on headbutts. You literally just have to hit a guy and you knock him down.
Yep.
Throws are amazing right now because you can basically just point and aim
The
things,
laser throw.
which is horribly, awesomely broken and good if you know what you're doing. Yeah, so really, thank God that arm lock is no longer in the game because that was annoying too. But yeah,
Piss off anybody with drag. Anyway.
yeah, power attack is good. So other than that, the other thing that's exciting in my week of War Machine is I received my models for the Nova Open Foundation painting. So that every year, a few different groups of painters get together. This year, my group is being organized by James Craig, who's a regular on our show.
Mm-hmm.
And you get pros, which I am not. I'm blessed to just have good friends who take me along for the ride. You get great painters together. They paint an army, and then they auction those armies off. And the money goes to good causes.
Let's just be honest here. You passed the threshold and were drafted.
Yeah, I got drafted. But it's great. So I started on Ragman, which is super fun because Ragman you can do really rough paint.
He's
on.
an amazing model.
Well, he's so rough. So basically my goal with that model was to try to take all I've learned from the other painters that are painting along with me, which is James, obviously, Ben from Prime Poodle Painting. And Matt DiPetrio and Yom La Machine. So these are all painters that I really respect.
I was going to say, you get to put your name in with that
I
list.
know.
I am impressed.
I know. They're going to be like, and
some
this
other guy.
Yeah.
But so that's really cool, and I'm going to keep you guys posted here on Moose Machine as we go along. So my Ragman is basically done. I've got some smoothing that I want to do and some brightening
You
that
should
I
put
want
up
to do.
pictures of that on our Facebook page.
Well, it's not based yet, so there's works in
please.
progress.
That's why the WIP tag.
But I'll keep you posted as we go along, and we'll get everybody excited, and hopefully we can make lots of money for a good cause. And we'll have James on again in a couple of weeks, I'm sure, and we'll get him to talk a bit about it as we round the corner.
And how we can contribute to getting said army and stuff like
Absolutely. So as we get closer to that, I will get. And the other cool thing is that the list is designed by Marc Andre, who's another friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So what I also want to do
that.
is,
So it's actually a good list.
well, it had to contain a certain
Well,
element.
I like that look.
It had to contain the Black 13th, which everybody will admit the Black 13th are not.
So you just got some empty bases and you spray coated them.
Well, they're not as great as they used to be. So he was kind of a little bit, but Mark's going to make a great list
Yeah.
no matter what. So it's a great list, and what I want to do is get Mark on the cast as we get closer to the Nova, as we get closer to the auction, and he can talk through the strategy for that list. Which would be pretty sweet too, so that whoever wins that list or buys that list can maybe listen to the cast and get some tips and tricks from the guy who
Someday
designed it.
when I have unlimited time and money, what I'd like to do is get people like Marc Andre to sit down and make a list, and then we'll spend a couple hours going over how to play it, how to deploy it, how to do all those things, so that when I have all that time to generate these videos, I think that would be a really useful thing for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Because you see these really high-end lists on the internet and you put it on the table and you're like, I have no idea how this works. Like you put the models out and you're like, well, these are good models, but how do I win?
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, and maybe that's a good thing that you have to figure those things out on your own sometimes. Maybe there's a reason why the forums collapsed because maybe they're trying to get us to think a little more for ourselves. But we'll talk about that later in the show. So the first things first, let's talk about the crazy levels of news. And I think the first thing that happened along the track is they announced just after we had done our cast that the forums were going to shut down for a few days.
Yeah.
And that after that there would be some major changes. Mainly things will be gone from the forums.
Well, originally they just said, we're bringing down the forums for CID.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to split the forums in half. There's going to be the CID forums and there's going to be the regular forums. And at the time they said there could be some changes when it comes back up.
Right. Jason, the changes, you were probably the first on the forums. What were the major, what was the major things that were gone?
Faction specific forums is probably the thing.
Yeah, that is weird. I can't hear you at all in the
people noticed most.
All right, keep talking.
Yeah, so going on, the first thing I checked to see, of course, was the big, are the faction forums still there? And no, they're not. They have gone the way of the dodo and the dinosaurs and everything else. So if you want faction-specific things, you're going to have to go elsewhere now.
Well, and so we can talk. We can go at length. The general forums have changed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the running theory is that they were removed because they were impossible to moderate without volunteer help. And here's where we're going to get to the crux of the matter. What's really happened, and I think almost everybody understands it now. But at first, I think that there was a lot of rumor and speculation as to why all these changes were happening in our community.
Yeah.
Here's what's happened, folks, and this is a big deal because this is one of those things where a few assholes ruin it for everybody. What's happened is in the Magic community. This has nothing to do with us. Even this is an entirely different community.
Well, it does. There are multiple reasons.
It does, but the biggest thing that's changing, and this is happening to Wizards of the Coast across the board. They're having to change their volunteer organizations completely from top to bottom. This is happening to luckily the Warhammer guys were way ahead of the curve. They got rid of all their volunteers to become stores years ago. But here's the deal: a bunch of Magic volunteers, people that were basically the PGs for Magic judges, decided to just sue Wizards of the Coast for vast amounts of money.
Well, you say just sue. The little bit deeper there, not all the way, obviously, because this is all secondhand. But the fact is that Magic judges, particular, were putting in a lot of extra work.
Yeah,
not just sort of the basic volunteering work, but they had very, very strict guidelines.
Yeah, but here's the deal, yo. Here's my take on this. So here's a bunch of people that wanted to be volunteers for a game.
Well, you say
nobody went to them. Nobody went to them and was like, "You human." It wasn't like the Russian oligarchy came in and was like, "You."
They were drafted.
You have to, from now on, be a judge for Magic the Gathering and give up all your time.
How about this one? You get to have Magic cards worth upwards of $300 to $400.
Okay, but I don't understand how this translates into you have to do that. You have to. They were volunteers.
Yes.
So the larger implications is all volunteer organizations now, because of what's happening in courts, because of this, all volunteer organizations are now having to take a strong look. Any volunteers that are volunteering for a company that is not a
nonprofit,
mm-hmm. They all have to take a look now at what's happening with this ruling and preemptively get rid of their volunteer organizations, because you could at any time turn around and sue that company for hours worked.
Yeah. So this started with, I think it was in California. Now, this is me scraping the back of my memory. Interns who were unpaid employees, basically, of a
mm-hmm.
corporation. There was a suit brought, and it was found that interns were employees. Therefore, interns had to be given the same benefits that other employees were, even if their pay was significantly lower or
mm-hmm.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a company benefit scheme, they had to get vacation, they had to get all the normal things that an employee gets, even if they weren't being paid particularly.
And this is trickled down to things like Magic the Gathering judges.
So that happened with interns in companies. And then the Magic judges, even though they had never been promised a salary or anything like that, what they were suing for are all those benefits. Were for overtime, if they were going to get money for overtime, if to not have to work 27-hour days, to not all those different things that are bad when you're doing it to your volunteers. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem in a well-run volunteer organization,
Right.
but the Magic volunteer organization was very much designed to get games processed, not necessarily to be good to the volunteers, as far as I
Right.
could tell. And there was one, I believe, about 6 months ago, or almost a year ago, I think, there was one lawsuit brought, I think it was in Texas. But what I think probably prodded Privateer Press in the butt was there was another one about 4 months ago in Seattle. So
Right.
basically they saw this showing up on their front doorstep. And
Well,
it's
and
like,
the- and-
oh shit, we should look at this.
So the first casualty of this. So understand again, lawyers are assholes. And companies, large companies, not to say that Wizards of the Coast are all a bunch of jerks. Gary Gygax, bless his soul. But Wizards of the Coast is kind of the soulless bastard father that company has become. So they were not running their volunteer organization particularly well. The backlash and the lawyers get involved, and this happens. And the first casualty is our forums. So if you want to understand the reality, I think, I could be entirely wrong. It really could just be a lot of people are theorizing that there was too much salt in those forums, or the general
Really?
forums were too hard to keep the salt out of them. Well, you know what? The salt's going to be there
No matter
what. The problem was that they needed volunteers
Yep.
to go in and moderate those forums. And the sheer bulk of those forums and the amount of different subsections meant that you needed a few volunteers to handle each subsection. As soon as you start causing problems with your volunteer organizations where you can't compensate them properly, you have to figure out a way to cut down your costs. And now, so the first thing that they've done is they cut the forums down, and they're now paying forum moderators. They're bringing the forum moderation in-house, and they're paying somebody to do it. It is an employee's job,
Yep.
which means that they can't get, they could get retroactively sued. Let's not talk about that because we don't want that to happen. We don't really want games to just go away because
somebody just got an idea.
Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
Will.
Yeah. So don't do that, because instead the only repercussion will be you won't have a game to play anymore.
Yeah.
So that happens. Then their volunteer organizations get shut down. Now they've fixed that problem.
Yeah.
For the future proofed. But here's the second thing that happened. So they sent out a letter this week to the good people of the Press Ganger.
It was actually last week.
Last
Remember,
week.
we're
Right.
a week behind.
We're a week behind. So it'll probably be a couple of weeks by the time most people listen to this cast. But most of you already know that the Press Ganger, because that was huge. That was like there was uproar, there was tears shed, there was beers spilled.
And that was just me.
Yeah. Pants were pooped. Again,
Also me.
just Jason. So I think really we got to let you talk about this, because you are a long-standing. You were just about to get your old salt coin. You were only a few months away.
Yeah, 4 years. It would have been October for
Right.
me.
So they got rid of the PGs,
Mhm.
and they sent a very nice letter out. You were all getting a nice little token of appreciation. They tried to do it in the best way possible. They did not mention the lawsuit as the cause. And
They
that,
can't.
yeah, they probably can't.
They literally can't. If there is any way to summon the evil specter that is a lawyer, it's to say the words, "This is because we might get sued." And then people go, "Wait, I could sue somebody?"
Yeah. But here's the thing. This is, in the world of people being assholes and lawyers being awful, this is the first thing that falls.
Yeah.
So a great organization like the PG organization that was well compensated, these guys, and I mean, heck, we had like 8 PGs in this area at one point.
Most we ever had was 5.
Okay, well, but if you include Kingston, the Toronto area,
yeah.
we've got a lot of volunteers for this game, and it's done a heck of a job growing this sport.
Oh yeah. This game would not be where it was if it wasn't for the PG program.
Right. So Tell me a bit about the letter, George, and tell me a bit about your, I think everybody knows what's happened at this point. We know that because of the volunteer things being shut down. How did this affect you, though? Because I think that you have a much more personal...
Well, to just go over quickly what was in the letter, if people don't know what we're talking about, basically they said they thanked everybody for all their years of service. They said this program has become untenable. It's just it could not be maintained. They didn't say exactly why. We have many theories as to why. One of them that you didn't mention, because we spent a lot of time on the lawyer stuff, is the fact that this is a program monitored by one person with 1,000 PGs. Mm-hmm. There was literally 1,000 PGs at the last count, and that was months ago.
That seems ridiculous.
So
that's a lot.
If you think of the standard management structure of any corporation, you got one guy, he manages a team of, 5 to 20 people at the outside. Mm-hmm. That's kind of reasonable.
Yep.
Expecting one guy to watch over 1,000 people was just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
It's just not something that was tenable. That you mix that along with the all the other things that have come to light with lawyers and stuff like that. There was no way they could keep this going. And I'm sure internally they did everything they could to not kill this program, because it was such an important thing. The PG program has been running, I think there were like 10-year-old,
there's some
14-year-old
veterans.
Yeah, and the program has done nothing but be amazing for them. So we got our letter, and the letter says, we're really sorry. This is shutting down. Here are a few of the reasons why, and I'm sure everybody kind of knows why. They said, we wanted to give you guys a special send-off, so there's a little send-off package that we're all getting that has a few little trinkets and one really nice model that I think is going to be really nice to see on the table. I'm probably going to force you to paint it.
Sounds good to me. I'm totally down with that.
Because, I would paint it horribly, and
you know how I love painting exclusives. So.
Yeah. And so I want to get that model, give it the paint it deserves. So from a personal point of view, it was gutting.
Yeah.
It was literally one of those, it was like a punch in the gut.
Well, and you said to me that it was a large part of your identity.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, it's the name you've gone by, PG_semiotic. We started this podcast as your PG podcast.
All the people who are on Twitch right now, if you look up at the top of your screen, you'll see twitch.tv/PG Semi-Automagic. And I have to do a lot of changing right now. There's a lot of places that I'm finding.
I mean, you probably will have to leave that as a moniker for a little while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that we got a message from James on the boards.
Yeah.
James had a kind of a personal message. He too is a PG.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting thing that most people don't understand about James is, even though he's a great painter and a PG, one of the things that he spends most of his PG points on is models for his students. So he creates, at his school, he's created a War Machine program for kids that can't afford to play War Machine. He just goes and gets them the models. So if you sometimes, a lot of people have it in their head that the PGs were like just doing this so that they can get a bunch of free crap. There's a large amount, like you spent most of your points on battle boxes and stuff so that people could do demo games.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys like James were taking those points and turning them around and putting them into...
I would say 1 out of 10 PG points on the whole went to a press ganger over the entire lifetime of the program.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of press gangers use their points for prize support, even though we were specifically told not to on many occasions.
Yeah.
I had a tendency to just order people things that I knew they needed. So,
right.
How I am able to do things like, we had a new player in our meta come along, and he wanted to play Khador. So what happened, as I'm sure happens in a lot of metas, is we all dug into the back of our closet for those 2 Khador models that we were like, oh, I totally want to paint these. And then we never painted them.
and gave those away.
Yeah, and we gave those away. And that's how a lot of people got their start. They're like starting off, they bought their battle box, and the PG's like, you know what? I'm sure I PG ordered some models. And they would dig into their box, and they would pull it out, and they go, here we go. Here's all this.
So just to go back to James. James said on the chat, could you read that out for us?
Yeah, sure thing. So James said, directly quoting here, he just typed it out. James says, I will chime in on the PG thing. He was PG TK cultist. When it happened, Doug Hamilton, sculptor extraordinaire, messaged me, and we had a good talk. I genuinely believe that they tried not to go this route and that they wish it could be otherwise. Doug really made me feel the care and community aspect of this group that I have come to expect and that I will remember in the years to come.
And here's the thing, is bad things happen to good companies, and especially the bigger that the gaming community gets, the more bad things will happen. We all have to accept that. With the reemergence of board games and role-playing games in the community culture again, it's cool to play them again. You don't have to be hidden in your parents' basement to play these games anymore. What's happened is that the gaming industry has grown again, really grown. For the first time in 10 years, we're seeing a reemergence, a lovely, lovely reemergence of miniature gaming, role-playing games. The problem is as happened with Dungeons and Dragons back in the 80s, when something becomes popular, that means that there's more people to mess it up.
To mess it up, yeah.
And this is losing volunteer programs like the PG program is going to be a direct result of that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. There was a question from the boards. The question was, it was during our pre-ramble. What was that question? Remember what it was?
It was to do whether or not, with the PG program gone, will we still see the same kind of community involvement from those individuals, do you think?
So the PGs.
So
specifically.
Here is the wonderful and horrible thing. You're going to lose a percentage of good PGs, but it's very small compared to the percentage of bad PGs you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. So there is already a ex-PG Facebook group that is very large. Their charter has already over 100 signatories.
Nice. And
there is way more than that subscribed to the group. They are tentatively being called the Revenant Crew. The undead PGs, basically. And I think as a group, the PGs are not going away. Most places that have good PGs, they were PGs because they wanted to be leaders in that community, or they saw a need in that community, and they wanted people to be able to play this game. Mm-hmm. The PGs that are going to disappear, this is going to be an excuse. It's either going to be they already didn't have time and they weren't able to be a PG as much as they wanted, so they'll take this as an excuse. I can safely bow out. The program's done. Or PGs that were, I hate to say it, there were some that were just in it for the models. The PGs that reported every time they showed someone the game as a demo game, they reported a tournament a month, whether that had 2 people or 27 people. I would say there were very few of those, but there were some of them out there, and they will have disappeared. Mm-hmm. But I think as a rule, you're going to find that your meta is going to be okay. Now, I will say this: there is going to be one part of the organized play setup that I think is going to take a massive hit, and that's leagues. Because leagues were never very well attended. Mm. They are always very well attended in the first 2 weeks, and then interest drops off heavily.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about here is the narrative leagues.
The journeyman leagues are always extremely well attended because they're at least the old journeymans. The new journeyman, there's a reason why we redesigned it, because
Yeah.
I
A lot
Will,
of people
I
didn't.
love you, dude, but God, that was
Not
just
sure what you're thinking.
terrible journeyman design.
So I think the narrative leagues are going to see the biggest hit because they were something that a lot of PGs sort of did because they could probably get the kit inexpensively, or they could get it not necessarily with PG points, but with help from their store. And they were PGs, so they felt they needed to run it. And I think they will probably fall off. Maybe not immediately, but I think when stores who most of this falls on now, PP is going to be working more heavily with the stores. I think those events are going to fall off. I think tournaments are going to be fine. Organized play as a rule is going to be fine. But I think really, the narrative leagues is going to be where it suffers the most.
Yeah, and so I think that's one side of it, and I think James is talking right now in the chat. He's saying that the backlash of this will be that guys like you, who are gunning to play War Machine all the time, might consider playing a different game now. Once in a while, might consider because now it's not your whole world. You know what I mean? But I don't think that. So here's my comment. And I told you that I had sort of an interesting counterpoint. I feel like this could be, if it is accepted the way I think of it, a great moment for guys like me. Guys like me who I don't have time to become a PG because I can't devote an extra. I already devote 1 day a week to a podcast, 1 day a week to a pub night, 1 day a month to a tournament if I can make it, and then I help run a tournament a year. I help you run events a year. I don't have the time to go and be a PG on top of all of that. Do another evening at a store and run every event in the city as we get called in to do the SO. I don't have time for all that stuff. But there's this opportunity. So now because the onus is on the stores to run these events, these tournaments. That means that the potential is that if you want to volunteer, if you're a guy like me that wants to volunteer and wants to run a tournament, it's no different than an XPG doing it. There are some benefits for a guy running a tournament, from what I understand. They're hinting that there'll be some exclusive models or badges or something in there.
It won't be bad. It won't be models to start with. There's been talk of that, and it's something I want to kind of correct. When they said there will be exclusive items, everybody immediately said, models. But no. It's much more likely to be custom fire tokens, custom dice, stuff like that.
There'll be something, but there's a little benefit for the tournament organizer, and it's not going to be anything big or groundbreaking, but it'll be something custom for your bag that somebody else might not have.
Have you, if you have ever been to a Fantasy Flight event, this is the way they run their events. So you receive a kit, and that kit in it will have all the stuff you need for the event. So it'll have a set of medals. It'll have certificates or whatever else you need. It will probably have a poster in it to advertise that, and then it will have the thing for the person running it.
Right. So here's the good news, guys like me, got all the other dudes out there that are not PGs. This is your time to step up. If you really think that the destruction of the PG program is going to destroy this game. And if you think that is going to be an issue, then this is, or if you've ever criticized a PG or a tournament organizer because they didn't run the tournament the way you thought it should be run, now's your chance to step up. Go talk to the guy who's either your local. In Ottawa, we've given a TO to every store. We basically make sure that
Ottawa again.
We're a special case.
As most of the listeners know, we're weird as hell.
We're a special snowflake.
We're special snowflakes here.
But if you're in the Ottawa area, which a lot of our listeners are, because this is your local area podcast.
Thanks for the pity listen.
We sometimes forget that. If you have ever criticized a tournament organizer, now's your chance to step up. Go talk to the guy that's the tournament organizer for the store. Go talk to the store owner. Say, I want to run a tournament. If you are outside of the Ottawa area, if you're in the greater world meta, now's your chance. Yeah. There's nothing stopping you. You could be that guy, and honestly, it pays for itself because you'll have more people to play against. The more events that get run. Don't forget the original reason why George was a PG was because he wanted people to play against. I mean, honestly, there's a reason why you suckered me into this game, because you wanted somebody that
There's
you
a
could play.
reason I do demos, and there's a reason I became a PG. And the reason I became a PG is because I showed up to my first tournament, and the PG was late to his own tournament. And I said to myself, I can do this better.
So there you go. That's exactly. But you run demo events, not.
I do demo events, and I do, like, we'll be at CGX. I'll be at Comic-Con in Ottawa. I don't go to these things because I want to spend 3 days standing all day getting yelled at and pay a large amount of money to get into these cons sometimes. I do those demos because the more of those demos I do, the more people I have to play against, and the better my tournaments are.
We do have a good question, I think, from the audience.
Bring it.
Question on how cons are going to be staffed now.
That's a really good question.
Hookers and blow.
Especially something like the Sioux, where there are a large, like last year, there was guys in PG shirts everywhere.
Yeah. Obviously, Tim or Matt can speak better to this. And
Right.
We'll grill them about that when the next one comes on. I think we have Aggie in a month or a little bit less.
Yes.
The good news is the SOO is or
The
Tim
SOO is
Tim
fine.
and Matt are so loved
Yeah.
in this community that
There's no
if they
shortage of
if they shout
volunteers.
out for a few people to help out, we'll all be raising our hands.
Yeah.
Well, and here is the wonderful thing, I think, and this is part of what you were saying, Will, is that I think there may be people who will step up now that they don't feel they have to be a PG to volunteer.
Yeah.
That has never been true at the Sioux. My wife's not a PG. She's volunteered several years.
But I mean, she's sort of like she's like the matriarch of the PG.
True. Very true.
My wife always wanted to get a T-shirt that said "wench," you know, for the P. You know,
I wonder how
PG's
many
wench.
times a weekend at the SO when your wife is there, somebody just calls her mom by mistake.
I can imagine that happening.
Mom, oh God, why?
I
It's only weird when you do it, George. That's when it gets weird.
I have seen Aggie and Becky sitting at a computer going, "Oh, look, my guy's playing your guy." That happens a lot. But I think it'll be so. To get back to the actual question, the Sioux is going to be fine. Yeah. What I worry about are big ticket U.S. cons that are not giving any benefits to staff currently. So something like the Sioux, you really only have to pay for as a volunteer if you want to play in things. So if you're going out to literally just volunteer the entire weekend, Tim and Matt are like, that's okay. You don't have to pay to get in. If you're volunteering every day, all day, we don't care. That's amazing. But if some of these big cons where you as a person who is going to volunteer is expected to cough up the $7,500 for the way in and then the hotel room and the travel. Well, suddenly, if I'm someone going there to volunteer for a weekend, even if I'm only volunteering, say, 2 of the 3 days, that starts to get really, really hard to justify if I'm not going to be called out in any specific way. At least if I had at least the amount of PG points you would get from a 2 straight days of volunteering would in some small way offset the cost of going. It's obviously, if you look at PG points, we're paid way under minimum wage, if you wanted to call it that. But what it did mean is that mentally in your head, you're like, oh, well, I'm volunteering for 2 days, but I get a battle engine, you know, or whatever.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the side note to that. Then maybe this is part of the culture that needs to change. Like, for lack of a better way to say it, we do get a benefit from the SOO. If we volunteer all weekend, we don't have to pay to get into the SOO. Mm-hmm. But say bigger events, like the really big ticket events, maybe they need to fork out for hotel rooms. A lot of those events will give their con volunteers free access. That's great.
Yeah.
I think you'll see what Privateer Press is going to do is they'll probably compensate their volunteers in some way.
So the rumor, and I don't have a piece of paper in front of me or anything to say that this is exactly the way they'll do it, but from what I understand, for Privateer Press, judges will now be paid
Yeah.
con volunteers.
They have to.
Or paid employees during con.
Yeah.
So they will be contractors.
Well, that is the offset of what's happened with this lawsuit. Is that this is a horrible thing, but there are good things that are coming out of it. The judges are going to have to get paid they're going to have to get paid a proper wage. They'll be considered contractors, and maybe all those con volunteers will be properly compensated.
Yeah.
For going to cons. All right, let's leave this topic behind because we've already done 40 minutes on it, and most of this is more for us than for you guys.
Let's get to the news.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, we should talk about some news now.
I was supposed to talk about the OTC.
Yeah, well, no,
about how
don't worry.
awesome
We
that
got 20
was.
minutes left, and the first thing is so going back to an incredibly well volunteered up event, probably the biggest other than the WTC, currently the largest team championships. People come from all over the world for it. You were at the OTC.
I think the OTC, I believe, this year was the largest single War Machine event ever.
Yeah.
The Sioux is definitely a bigger con, but it has a lot of different events in it. The OTC was just one event, and it was amazing. Geez.
So
I was just realizing that I haven't posted any of the videos.
No, you haven't. It's like been a big dark secret. You've kept this whole thing.
So yeah, the
What really happened?
What happened at you played?
What really happened
There
at
was
the
nudity.
OTC?
There was nudity, wasn't there?
Francesco and Bubba were in the same room.
Yeah. So
So yes.
So
Yes, there was.
everybody else just had to leave. Good.
Yeah, they're well, after we put down the tarps.
Oh dear, they're both in the chat right now. Just
That's
so you know.
great.
Yeah.
Then they'll know exactly what happened. So OTC was amazing. I showed up as I am wont to do during organizational time, so that I could set up the stream.
So he gets PG points and gets some friggin' freebies.
I was a player at this thing.
Friggin'
I got no points. I barely streamed this thing. After a quick talk with the hotel people about why the Wi-Fi or the internet was capped at like 1 meg up, and I'm like, I can't stream with this shit. But they very kindly actually got on the horn with their company that does their managed networking, and they were able to get me decent upstream. So I set up the stream. We got that all ready, and I decided, you know what? I've played my my Xerxes 2 list once. I should probably play it more than that.
Yep.
So I didn't. And we just let that kind of go.
2 all weekend.
No, actually, I've only played Saul once.
So you actually did well though.
So-
you went.
I went
what?
2 and 2.
2 and 2, which is
That's good at the
pretty.
OTC.
Yeah, the OCC. That's amazeballs.
Yep.
How did your team do overall?
I think we were 11th.
That's fantastic.
That's really
Out
good.
of how many teams?
32.
Wow, that's fantastic,
Yeah,
dude.
like-
You
Damn,
guys should be
dude.
really proud of that.
We did pretty good.
I heard that Ottawa in general represented well.
Yes, Ottawa did rep quite well.
And some Ottawa guys may or may not have
Been in winning teams.
Been in
yeah,
winning
yeah.
teams. So I think what we'll do is we'll get Scott on. You guys can talk a bit about the OTC and do a recap
Yep.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the basics of that. We have a few other news.
I just want to.
Sorry.
I do want to call out the opponents I can remember. My first round opponent. I'm so sorry. I cannot remember your name. Your Wormwood was kind of amazing.
Was it Bubba? It was probably Bubba.
Wormwood?
Bubba?
Are we sure it was Bubba who?
No.
He's not even in the chat anymore. That
Yay!
son of a bitch.
So yeah, and then after that, I played Greg from Party Foul, and he did amazing and was so much fun to play against. And I played
Not nearly the jerk that Reddit thinks he is.
oh, as we have said on this cast many times, Party Foul the entity may be have questionable values and questionable
they may
choices.
They may be universally hated by Reddit.
Yes, but the two members of Party
Are
Foul
the loveliest
really
people we know.
great
Yeah.
stand-up guys.
Yeah.
He did forget his Grimkin models, and his 2 little goblin swarms didn't do their job. And then I played Rich from Beer Machine,
It's like a podcast off going on over
Yeah,
there.
I fully expected to play
Way to-
Combo Smite in
Way
the
to
third
represent.
round.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the rest of my team actually did really well. So that meant that we had to play one of the teams that I think were in the top 2 or 3.
Nice.
And I got to play Cody, and it was Corey, sorry, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and Corey is a fantastic. I got top of 2 the first time in my life by Corey. In like a full 75-point game.
Oh, yeah.
Near the end, like my 4th round, I was doing really, really well. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the end. I'm dead.
He
And he may or may not know your army really well.
yeah, well, he mirror matched me on Scorn, and he looked across the table. And he's like, a couple of those models I've seen be kind of underperforming. Here, let me show you these ones. Just sort of beat me repeatedly over the head with them.
So there we go. So the OTC, will leave that behind.
Yeah, it was amazing. Please go out to it. If you have a chance, get your finger ready for the sellout to happen. I think it was 6 minutes.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, that's
Or-
the thing. If you can get in, you're golden.
Well, there is some talk of having a position that you can win next year.
That'd be cool.
Oh.
To get
Because I know that we've talked to those guys, and Scott has basically said they're at their limit for numbers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
humans. You cannot put any more humans
Yeah.
in that space.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some of the news items that happened this week and our feelings on them. Grimkin, there was an errata already. Well, not really
Well,
an
it's
errata.
not an errata, so-
it's an update.
Yeah, so
Updated document.
CID came out, and that was one of the big things that happened
Yep.
when we talked. about,
CID started, and the first thing that the CID has on it is all the Grimkin models, so you can go play them.
yeah,
And they let everybody into the CID. I didn't hear anybody say, "I didn't get into the CID." No, they
I
let
think
everybody.
They
in.
let everybody in eventually.
It took a while.
I think they dribbled people in
Yeah.
so that it didn't just crash the forums.
Mm-hmm.
But we have not only seen all the models, but we've also seen the first update.
We've
It's
seen
a-
all the concept art.
Yeah, we have seen all the concept art. We've seen all the sort of descriptions.
Yep.
Like how they want these models to play.
They sound really good.
They are so
Like
much
everything
fun.
is really good. I'm interested to see how. Like, there's been a few people from our meta that are playing them already. Devin and Mark Andre are both already. I've heard them talk about getting games in.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the pro players think who have
Yeah.
actually played them. What I think we'll do is I'll talk to Mark Andre this week, and we'll try to get him on soon,
That
and
would
he
be
can give us
amazing, yeah.
he can give us a true in-depth feeling on how this whole thing is going. Because I think the problem we have is that we can only look at it from those look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're not the players, we're not the strategic entities that some of these great guys are. But luckily, we know these people, which
That's basically our cast.
that is our cast.
We're a
So
bunch of people who are lucky enough to know really good players.
we got them drunk one time at a party, and they said yes.
yeah,
Story of my marriage.
informed consent.
So that's cool. Check out this. Everybody is allowed in the CID. If you don't know about it, go check out the Grimkin. They're super exciting. You're picking up. You guys are both picking up Grimkin. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we're both
face
gonna grab 'em.
nothing. I just basically should be sitting there reading it so I can come up with counter
Yeah.
lists to your Grimkin.
I won't
shit.
be playing them for a while. Like,
Yeah,
I
because-
won't be playing them right away. I plan on picking them up, but I'm knee-deep in a new faction right now, so I don't plan on switching that
I
soon.
believe the word is balls deep in cricks.
Balls deep in the crick,
Yeah,
so
balls deep into Negra.
I will
Big,
not be switching
sharp,
factions that quick.
pointy- Sounds painful.
Sounds super
But
painful.
I will probably return home from lock and load with
a
arm
couple
loads
of full
metal.
I think you'll
or-
be shipping
Or
boxes.
probably what will happen, is I will go from the convention center to the UPS depot and put everything in a box and press go.
Yeah.
So after that, we have the 2 new Legion theme lists from the command book have been leaked. They've been leaked.
Somebody said,
did.
you know what?
Jason's done playing
They-
Legion. Let's.
Yeah.
You
give him
know
a
what?
couple good-
Vale's theme force was really good. I wonder if we can put that out again. Is that something we can do?
No, what they did was they were like,
Only they made it even
Jason's-
better because you don't have to take Veil 2 to use it.
I thought they kind of swapped it around though. They said, Jason's done playing Legion, so what we'll do is we'll send Doug Hamilton to go design Cricks, but the offset is
Yeah.
that here's some really good theme lists for all the people.
Theme
that's-
list.
Oh, the other one's not good.
The other one is not good.
Oh, okay.
The Oracle's theme list is fantastic. You basically get a free heavy. Yeah,
That's
a
cheap.
free 20-point beast. Like that's a free Carnivian that you can just shove down
Well,
somebody's throat.
that is kind of exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, that's
All you
exactly
wanted
what I
was, like,
wanted.
all
I
I
wanted
wanted is
another
one more
beast.
heavy.
I wanted one more beast, and I stopped playing Legion, and then I get it. But the Children of the Dragon theme is a Nephilim specific theme, and the Nephilim are very middle ground. They're not the best.
But Azrael?
Azrael is a character though, so you can only take him with Krissa.
He doesn't count as a Nephilim? Or is it non-character Nephilim?
No, he's a character. He's a character beast. So you have to take him with Krissa if you're in theme, and Krissa is mediocre. So yeah, it's not the best theme. The Oracles one is the one that Legion fans seem the
So
happiest
yeah,
about.
we'll probably see that in half of the competitive list coming
Yeah.
up. It's your basic get free, a bunch of use what you normally use, get a bunch
Yeah.
of free stuff.
Exactly.
Which seems to be what each faction is getting, one of those.
Yeah.
Or the one there seems to be two. Here's the theme list that forces you to take infantry because it turns out they're not that bad after all. Here's another theme list where you just get free shit.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. The theme lists aren't that varied.
No, they're consistent.
They're very consistent.
We'll see. I mean,
between factions.
there's been good ones and there's been bad
But
ones.
isn't there supposed to end up with like 5 for every faction?
Yes,
Oh,
well, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg
yeah.
right now. There's supposed to be way more coming out within the next year or two.
Yeah, my feeling is that we won't really see Mark III as a whole until Lock and Load this year.
Yeah.
That's when we actually see Mark III sort of released.
Yeah.
As we've heard from both Doug and Pagani on the
Yeah.
cast, go check those out if you didn't get to listen to those. Those are actually fantastic.
Really good
As
episodes.
opposed to this episode, which is just us rambling. Those are great episodes. One of the things that they've said over and over again is they stated that they're like 2 years ahead of us. There are things we don't know. So when you look at those mediocre lists, maybe there's something that you don't know.
Oh yeah, it's for models that haven't even come out yet.
Absolutely. And we saw that with Scorn. We saw, as models get released for Scorn, people are like, oh, that's why that guy sucked. Because now he's amazing.
Or now he's free.
Yeah.
It's like, I would never pay 4 points for this guy.
Oh,
but
well,
when
he-
he's free,
he's free.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
All right, so new Gatorman theme force leaks. Minty rejoices. Minty did a small dance because apparently Gators. It means that basically Gators are good again, and
Make Gators good again.
Make Gators good again.
Yeah, and that's something unique with the Gators because they went from 5 boxes to 8 in theme.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
They basically took it basically said if you want to play Gators the way that they used to be played.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that this is actually a really cool balancing thing. The problem with the Gatorman posse was they became the go-to minion unit.
Yeah.
And they ended up in everything because it was the only way to get an 8-point tough unit into every single different faction.
Yeah.
So everybody took them. Everybody had a Gatorman posse.
And that put a huge target on their head.
Well, and that's the thing. And you can't do that. You can't have something that outweighs everything else in every
that's
other
right.
faction. So suddenly you make Gatorman Posse 5 boxes. They are just an option. But that really nerfed them in the world of Gatorman because now you're like, well, shit, everybody else has good infantry, and our good infantry is now mediocre. But you give them 8 boxes and theme, and suddenly, blam. So we're seeing what themes can do. They can give you back the things that you miss.
Yeah, I kind of love this because what it means is they can release models for mercs and minions that are specifically power level dependent on where you play them.
Yeah.
Because we could see a theme where suddenly Amethyst Rose was way better without making them stupidly good in Signar.
Yeah.
Right? You can do that now, and that is a really great.
Well, and you're not.
I love this word, design space.
Well, you're also not only beholden to attachments.
Yeah.
Which was sort of the problem before. Is the only way to fix it was an attachment. We all just waited for our unit attachments to save us. This means that themes can save us too, or can change something, can change the design space of something. All right, so the next thing, the big news that made Crix players weep for some reason that I still haven't figured out why, because I'm not a Crix player. Goreshade. Lord Gearshield, or however. Are
He's
are
gone.
elves Scottish? Yeah.
They
so
are now.
he got resurrected. We haven't read the fluff yet. Will we expect that to be coming?
We have seen the index for the No Quarter coming out this month, and there is a fluff chapter called Reborn.
Yep.
So we're guessing that's probably
there's
something to do with it.
Big deal. It's pretty sweet. We know that. So here's the thing that we knew that across the board. We knew, I think, before a lot of other people did, because I think we had some insider information on it, that across the board there would be cross-faction models in just about every faction. So far we've seen the ghostly version of Kane in Crix. We've seen Gorshade move over to...
over to Red. Not back, but over to Red.
He's been resurrected.
Yeah.
We know that there's a full-on cross-faction model in Kane 3 and Old Witch. And this was expected. This is that cross-pollination on lore is what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Of course, we have no information other than the fact that Gorshade's gone back. So going to be some interesting stuff coming out as we learn more about that.
Indeed.
More Ret models have appeared. It's full-on Retmas right now.
It is full-on Retmas. There were so many that just showed up out of the blue.
Well, this is the faction that probably, they were like a micro faction in Mark II. I felt like they were like there was like a limited faction.
Yep, they were a splinter cell.
And they just seem to be waiting on new models and waiting on new models and waiting on, now they're getting them all at once. I think that production problem that
has been solved.
So we have Rasova's Defenders, they're like basically the Ret Legionnaires, House Shield Arcanist unit, the Swordsman of House Elaware, a bunch of other models that haven't been named yet, but we should have some more information when the NQ comes out. And on the note of NQ, we've noticed that there's Erebor, the Crix unit caster, one of the first unit casters out there, is seeing into the future, and it seems to be mainly Signar shit that she's seeing coming down the board.
Yeah, you'd think she'd see stuff from her own faction, but no.
No, she sees Signar stuff, because that's the way that Signar love works.
Yeah.
So we know that there will be we're like 99% sure that there's a new battle engine caster, and that will be Siege, if that giant hammer is standing beside there is any indication. That is a good sign that we're going to see a battle engine caster for each faction, because if Signar is getting one, Legion doesn't have one yet. But Crix has one, of course, and I think we'll expect, and of course the Old Witch is another battle engine caster. I think battle engine casters might be the way of the future.
Be a thing.
Might be a thing.
Yeah,
I think we might all have one. Why? It's surprising that they went Old Witch.
Convergence.
Well, it's a limited faction is limited. You're all going to be bitching about Grimkin in 5 years. You'll be like, I went all in on Grimkin.
I got no new models.
I got no new models.
Hey, dude, I now know that I'm getting dick all for Grimkin. So that's okay.
So here's the side effect with that. I'm surprised that they didn't go Karchev for the battle engine caster for Khador. I think we all expected Karchev to come back with like, I died in the small robot. Stick me in a bigger one.
So Crix had Karchev for a while.
Here's my theory. Karchev. He goes inside a Marauder. Then you have a Marauder that docks with a Juggernaut. And then you have a Juggernaut that docks with a huge base model. You know, like...
It's not fucking Voltron, George.
No, because then when you kill it, it knocks him out.
Okay, I got
right, and so when you knock him out of the huge base, he goes into large base. You knock him out of the large base, he goes into medium base.
There's a reason why we don't have Dragoons anymore.
You knock him out of the medium base, he's just the like little body torso section with a head on a small base. He has no movement, can only cast spells.
Here's
Karchev 2 gets a Berserker chassis. Still has unstable.
Here's my theory. Here's my theory is what they're going to do with Karchev is he'll be a what they're going to do is take the 5 best casters, and they'll make it a unit, and then they'll all have to.
They're just all the butcher.
They're all the butcher, and then they'll have to assemble. Their feet will be assembled into a giant Karchev.
I love it.
PP, I'm giving that to you. That's free.
That's a free one.
That's
3
a free
huge
one.
bases for one cast.
You get one. You get one huge base, but that's the feat.
You get one.
Oh, that's the
base.
feat.
That's a feat. Is that they just get to like do a full on Voltron assemble. Dude, Everybody would buy that shit.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
hell yeah.
I
They'd
would
be-
buy
they'd
it
be
for
like,
sure.
So I get 5 casters that assemble into one, and
and it only costs
all
$400.
and it magnetizes. It all magnetizes. Finally, yeah. So we've got that Signar.
Weighs 20 pounds.
We also know that it looks like there's another Trollkin, some sort of Trollkin Grenadier, which could be Signar, could be Trollkin. Could
My
be Northkin.
theory is that they've hinted a lot that they're about to, once Grimkin CID is done, the next one will be the Signar Trencher Force that
Right.
they're going to
Okay.
that they're going to do CID for. My theory is that those guys are one of the ones from the Trencher theme force.
Well, the Trencher one looks like they're going to be giant, like they're a medium-based Trencher unit of some sort, kind of like harkening back to the Khador. What's those guys called? The Khador.
Bombardiers. And
No, the
stuff.
big red dude. The medium-based,
Narrows it down.
the medium-based infantry from Khador, the guys inside the giant
Yeah.
power armor.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to see for Signar is going to get their
You
medium
don't think
base.
they'll be just an Ogren unit like the
No,
Trencher
that-
Commando?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. They could be Ogren in giant trencher armor.
Then they'd be large base.
All right, guys, it's 9:00. I can't believe we
about that time.
Wow. So I think what we should do is the lightning round.
Oh, we have a lightning
We
round.
have a lightning round. It's just the two of you guys.
Just the two
It's
of
just the
us.
two of you
Man of
guys.
Wars.
The answer is
Man
of
Man
Wars.
of Wars.
Man of Wars.
Thank you, Connor.
There you go. Connor gets a point.
You do realize that the chat is going to do better at this than either of us.
Oh, absolutely.
definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
We are going to
That
lose to the
is-
chat.
That is the entire point. All right, so here we go. What is Harbinger's focus?
Too damn much. 10 usually.
It is 10. 1 point for PG semi-auto.
10?
1 point for
for
semi. It's going to
semi-auto
take me forever to
magic.
stop calling you PG.
Wah.
Dirge of Mist give models what power? Or what bonus?
Dirge of Mist is +2 defense?
No.
No?
Concealment?
It gives concealment. Very good.
That's +2 defense.
But it's not.
Specifically
yeah.
concealment.
I know.
All right, so what race is Bloody Barnabas? Oh.
Oh. I'm just going to guess. So
Okay, so we'll go with G
if
first.
G knows it.
Barnabas is a Gatorman, isn't
He
he?
is a Gatorman. Very
There you
good.
go.
Question number 4.
Could have been Pharaoh.
Hex Blast costs how much? What's the point cost? on it?
3?
It is 3. Very
Too
good.
damn much.
Question number 5. How many boxes does a war wagon have? Go.
22.
No. Want to guess?
20?
No, it is 24.
Oh, shit.
Ah!
It's just a weird number. It's like, we're going to give you almost all
I
of the boxes.
remember it being a weird
except
number.
one.
I remember it being a weird number. That's why I said 22.
All right, question number 6. What is the point cost on a Kayazi Assassin Underboss? George.
Underboss is 4 points.
It is 4 points. Very good. He's winning.
Not
by the way.
enough. Oh, yeah.
He's kicking. He's not kicking your ass. You're only like 1 point off, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
Question number 7. Spell Ward gives what bonus? Spell Ward. The ability Spell Ward. George?
You can't have enemy spells cast on you.
Correct. Cannot be targeted.
Targeted.
By enemy spells, but I'll give that one to you. All right, question number 8. Soulless Escort can be attached to what? George.
Every damn thing.
Uh,
Well, all the ret units.
medium and small base, but yeah, I'll give that one to you.
Do they have a large base? Oh, the Desters. Never mind.
Question number
Yes.
9. Which caster's feet?
When was the last time you saw their
He's doing extremely well.
yeah, he is.
I'd like to.
those
I think
forces?
he's resurrected himself. He's
Yeah.
like the
Born
Revenant,
anew.
Revenant crew.
Revenant George.
And now that he's not a PG, he's suddenly remembering rules and shit.
Revenant semi-auto magic.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
All right,
Like replacing PG in front of everything
with
with
Revenant.
Revenant.
RV. I like just all of you to call yourselves RVs from now on. Which caster's feat is named High Voltage?
Some stupid Signar cast.
I'm guessing Nemo.
Which one?
Yeah, well, all of them, most of them.
No, but which one specifically gets High
Oh.
Voltage?
Nemo 3.
No,
I was gonna
Nemo
say,
2.
I was.
Nemo 1.
I'm giving him the point. Nemo 2 because you.
You didn't even give me a chance to
Yeah,
answer.
you were muttering. Question number 10. What This is the tough one.
It's tied.
Minty never got back to me tonight. But here's what it is. It's tied. It's totally tied. This is worth 30 points. And the win. 10
It's a
points.
snitch, fucker.
10 points. 10 points for each answer. What are the 3 Signarin theme forces? 10 points an answer. 3 Signarin theme forces. Anybody?
Really?
Yeah.
So when did I stop playing Signar?
I know, right? It's the Minty Fresh question. It's meant to be hard.
Yeah, but that's just random.
Well,
fucking shit.
I'm going to let Jason try.
Go-
Number
go
1,
for it.
Stormlance is going to mess you up. Number 2, Lightning going to mess you up. Number 3, Haley going to mess you up.
I have alternates.
I like it. I like
First
it.
one,
No points for you.
lightning not going to mess you up because all your shit is immune to lightning.
Okay, so all your shit immune to lightning is
Yeah.
your first answer.
My second one is really gun mages still exist.
That's close.
That's the second one.
Yeah.
And the third theme force is the just more jacks then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heavy
more
metal,
jacks.
Heavy
What's-
Metal, Sons of Tempest, and Storm Division.
Yeah, I can read the chat too.
It is Heavy Metal, Storm Division, and Sons of
I
the
think
Tempest.
mine were more accurate.
You were pretty accurate, but I'm not giving you either of you guys any points, which means today's winner is
the
Hi,
chat.
Revenant Semi-Automagic.
I thought it was a tie.
I figured it was the chat.
No, you lost.
Okay, that's cool. I mean,
All right, guys.
So
I'm gonna end this off for tonight. We have to do a couple of shout outs. I want to thank Crooked Mile for making great beer for gamers by gamers. Make sure you go out and buy some of your beer, some of their beer, and tell them that you are a local gamer.
come
and
to the
you will
Sioux
get nothing
and
for
maybe
free.
taste some.
Yeah, we're gonna bring
Yes.
some with us to the Sioux.
taste the rainbow.
I gotta give a shout out to our boys and girls over at the Wizards Tower who make sure that the Ottawa Meta has a place to play and all the models that they could ever want. If you're going into the Wizards Tower, everybody make sure to remind Dave that they need to do a full order because them shelves been looted since the OTC.
Yeah.
There's some shit.
Damn
I wanna-
OTCers.
There's some crap I want to buy. I want to make sure that we take the time to thank all the PGs as our friends over at Painting with them at Menoth. John said the other night, dudes, girls, all y'all go take a second to thank all the people that were part of this great volunteer organization. They got gutted this week, and it's worth just thanking them for their effort.
Yep.
Remind them that they are loved and that it's not about the free models and it's not about the accolades. It's not about the title. It's about love of the game.
And they will always be your PG, regardless.
Yep. Except for George.
Except for George.
Yeah.
He's Revenant George.
He's Revenant George now.
Dead now.
He's dead to us in a good way. I want to make sure that all of you guys are using your Battle Reporter. So
Yep.
go check if you have an Android device. Go get the Battle Reporter app. Are they?
Yep, they
Doing
got the app and the
for-
website.
And the
In
last
fact, there was a awesome contest at the OTC. If you put in all of your games into the Battle Reporter, you could win custom widgets with your Battle Reporter number on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
really
who won.
cool.
Fraser hasn't told me who won yet.
All right, the last thing I want
Yeah.
to say is the forums may be gone, but we have good news for all you all.
Yeah.
We here at Moose Machine have spent hours in a lab,
Minutes even.
minutes,
Moments.
knowing one guy who is part of a group of people that are way more industrious than we are,
That's a fact.
and have put together forums. So it has nothing to do with us at all. Although we are full supporters behind this. If you want to put your salt somewhere, do we have a salt shelf for you?
Do we have a shaker for you?
Do we have a completely neutral, where your name will not be there, non-Facebooky place for you to go? Actually, so in our great friend Pablo, who is a great supporter of the show,
Paulo?
sorry,
Pablo?
Paulo.
Paulo.
I even know
This
the
is a
dude.
man I have eaten excessive amounts of meat with.
I know. I watched you guys sweat for like an hour and a half.
It was amazing.
I had to drive home in a car with you after, I think. Anyway, Paulo has put together, with a group of other folks, they put together new forums.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about it, George.
Lorma Hordes, and you can find it at lormahordes.freeforums.net, which I will get linked in the chat. He said, staring at the guy who has the keyboard and mouse.
I hope this is the right address.
Well, basically, it's a community forum with all the specific places that you would probably are missing from the the PP big boards. It's got faction chat. It's got all kinds of places where you can, put up your lists and get commentary and stuff like that. They also have really neat things like scavenger hunts and stuff on the board. They're trying to come up with a theme song right now for the board, which is really neat. I highly suggest you guys go over and check it out. It's run by the community. They're not trying to replace the big boards,
No.
but they're trying to be there to pick up the pieces and let people communicate in a way that they're used to.
I'm going to volunteer as a moderator for like 3 years and then sue them for all my work. That's my plan. Because that's
So-
the kind of man I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the
Magic
link come
player.
up a while ago, and I signed up. And as somebody who's starting a new faction, I was kind of sad that the PP forums were gone, because I just ignored the crap and I went to see what people were playing. And it's nice to have another forum where you can do that.
Yeah.
So if you want to just check it out, and it's nice because the discussion is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hardcores, the whatever Trollkins out there where the hardcore guys are going to be over there. So go there, volunteer, be part of your community, grow your community.
Yep.
I think we can leave all of this behind tonight. I think we talked about everything. Stay on the line. I believe Troll Blood Scrum will be on in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they might
Fraser
even have-
Fraser can probably speak to that.
Yeah.
If you are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel,
You should do that.
Go do that, because there will be games coming from the OTC on there in the next week or
Yeah,
so.
I can't wait to see those.
Assuming I can find them.
Yeah. So in all the other things George has to do right now, you're not busy or anything. Could you just get on that?
So yeah, so what happened, George? Why are you so busy?
So basements, right? They're underground, right? They're basically like a swimming pool with a building built on top of them.
Yeah.
And
The
I work in a basement, and we became more like a swimming pool than most people.
the most important thing is our 24-hour network still running?
No.
So that's why the 24-hour network is down, is because the network
There may have been 3 feet of water in the server room, and
Yeah.
the 24-hour stream
may have been on the bottom.
been on the bottom rack.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it at that for tonight. Maelstrom,
Yes.
Hit that
hit
button.
that button.
If I can find it, I will. Okay, there it is.
You drunken bastard. Press the button.
Okay.
Dice down! Moose Machine and This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moose Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.